welcome to another episode. Welcome to another interview. Welcome, Farewell fans. I'm your host, MNG, and today I have another great interview for you. And we have Aurene here today. Did I pronounce it correct?
Yes, it's correct, Aurene.
Okay. I'm normally butchering names. I'll be trying to make sure I get it correct. So we have Aurene here today to talk about some great stuff for everybody. So Aurene, can you just tell the guests a little bit about yourself and your background?
Certainly. Thank you for having me on this show. And to all the listeners out there, I'm Aurene Monteiro, and I'm a former high achiever. Started ticking out boxes right from school and college, good grades, name it, and great health, love, marriage, career, leadership roles, motherhood, what anyone could ever dream of. And beneath that entire polished resume, or whatever you would like to name it, was a chronic anxiety that was building up and boiling and bubbling like lava in a volcano until it all erupted one day in the form of a brain stroke back in 2018. That break down what led to my breakthrough. So lying on that MRI scan table, I made a promise to myself: I'm not going to live like this, and not going to suffer or let anyone else suffer the way I am right now. So I claimed that for myself, and from there it's been a transformational journey. So right now I'm a mentor, an anxiety mentor, a resilience coach to women in high stress careers, helping them stop pretending that they are fine and start living the lives they're meant to be, happy and free.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Now, you said that you were in a high level position and it came with a lot of anxiety. So, what were some of the daily pressures that you experienced in that position?
Um, any normal stress that we would go through, like deadlines and what do you say, workload and all of that. But apart from that, what I understood when I went through this breakdown, it's something that we carry all along, trauma from our past, anything that hurts us, and we cling on to that anger, hurt, and resentment, and that's what builds up and makes this stress seems like something that you feel overwhelmed, and it just pounds on and escalates. So if you see, if you are a normal person, and unlike, it's very unlikely that somebody wouldn't have faced any sorts of trauma in the past. When I say trauma, it is somebody giving them a smirk, an insult, taunting them, whatever. As a kid, you may have held on to certain grudges knowingly and unknowingly, and it's buried deep within. So all this, when you are faced in a similar environment, you may have forgotten it, but your body remembers that. And your body reminds you that, okay, this is another situation of a similar kind, and hence it has to protect you, and it goes in an overdrive. So by the time you actually realize what's going on, you feel that this particular situation you're living in this moment is what's pulling you down, but it's what's been building up right from the past.
Okay, so all right, so you're saying that if I'm hearing correctly, and let me make sure I have this clear, is that our past can, like, we hold on to particular traumas, habits, and everything from our past, and our body remembers those traumas and habits. And when we get into certain positions, those traumas and habits manifest themselves.
Yes, to an extent, yes. So when we may have been treated in an unexpected way, either from our siblings, from our family, from our friends at school, from our teachers, from our relatives, whoever it may be, knowingly or unknowingly, somebody may have hurt us. And we, as a kid or as a teen, as we were growing up, we felt insecure with that. We felt diminished. We felt inferior. And we tried to forget things with the certain coping mechanisms. But we are not here to cope. We are here to live free. And unless we understand, acknowledge, and realize that, okay, once I get rid of that, and once I have control over that voice within my head, which tells me you are not enough, and you stop that bullying voice in your head, it's not going to go away. So if you feel threatened by somebody in your past, you may have forgotten that. But if somebody else, again, at workplace does not appreciate what you have been doing, you may experience a lack of appreciation For them, that appreciation is enough. Maybe for you, that isn't. So there is a gap because you are wanting something else. And until you reach that level of what you are expecting, you feel diminished. And so you experience stress. Stress may not be the same for two people going through the same thing in the same environment from the same boss, but you are experiencing it completely different.
So okay. So let's take just for example. So a person that would you say that a person that was bullied as a kid, do they have an inferiority complex when they become older because of being bullied?
To an extent, yes. To an extent, even fear sets in. So, a bully doesn't have to be a really huge person to get bullied. You can also get bullied from a younger person, somebody half your size, half your age. But when you experience that form of bullying, then you know that you do not have control over somebody else, and you feel that you cannot even control your own happiness. And the moment someone says something or you are in a similar position, you feel that, okay, this is certainly going to be an outcome in a way that I do not want it to be. And you start living that worst case scenario before it could even transform. And so you end up manifesting that.
Okay, that's understandable. So I want to kind of jump back to one point you had made, is that two people handle stress differently. So now when I'm under stress, I can handle a particular way, or if I hate anxiety, if I feel overwhelmed, I handle a particular way than somebody else or a counterpart, or how the case is like that. What would you say would be some ways to counteract, those stress levels if you're in those high positions? And maybe you're not in a high position. Maybe you're in a stressful environment. It could be a family environment. It could be just a momentary situation that creates an overwhelming and stressful situation that builds up.
Yes. So, circling back to what we have discussed a little earlier in our conversation this today. So, when I said our body doesn't forget, what I meant by that is if you are experiencing stress, your body will certainly show up in a way. You may have a dry throat, or you may freeze. You may not be able to move. You cannot speak. You will have that knot in your stomach, or your shoulders are tight, or your shoulders are stiff. You will have something that your body is telling you, okay, this is a stressful situation, because your body has reacted the same way the very first time you have faced a similar situation. And that is how it will respond always. So when you start recognizing the pattern, the way your body responds, and okay, your throat has gone dry, you have been hydrated, but still you feel you cannot speak enough clearly, that you are stammering and stumbling for words, or you have that knot in your stomach. The moment you start being aware of how your body is responding to a situation, you slow down, see how your body is reacting. Okay, if you're still feeling normal, then maybe it's the first time you are in front of that situation, and it's not something new. Your body hasn't faced that. So it's not going to stress you as much as an earlier one. However, if you recognize that, okay, now earlier, the easiest way to do that is recall a past situation, something that you felt hurt, or something that you haven't forgotten, and recognize how your body is reacting to that. Once you know, okay, this is how my body reacts to that, the next time you are in a situation, you can see that body responding in the similar way. Now you are under a stressful situation. Now, how do we break this pattern? If you continue to allow your body to cling on to that, it will wait and respond the same way the next time you're in this situation. So you get up, move around. When you do that, even for few seconds, say 5 to 7 seconds, you stand up, walk around, take few steps, come back into your place. You are telling your body that it's okay, I'm not in that situation, the situation is fine, and your body will forget that. So in most likely that in 90 to 95%, when you are in a similar situation the next time, the third time, assuming this is the second time, the previous time was the first, and the next time is the third. So the third time, your body will not give you that knot in the stomach or that tight shoulders, because it feels, okay, you have handled it well in the past, this is not a stressful situation. That is how you break the pattern. And this is a mind-body game, so it's a loop. You're feeding into that fear, your body is reacting, you're confirming that, and you're allowing yourself to get into that loop. So once you start breaking that with your awareness, that is one way of getting rid of it.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. So, switching gears a little bit. So, you lived through a profound personal shift from high achieving corporate life to a deeply human healing journey. What woke you up to the need for change?
So when I was lying in that MRI scan table, the doctor had asked me to get a scan done to ascertain the damage to my brain. It temporary? Was it permanent? If it was permanent, what extent was their damage? Thankfully, I came out with a clean scan. However, getting into that machine, I was scared. I didn't want to find out what it was, and had requested my husband to come inside along with me. He was holding my hand the entire procedure. It was 30 minutes, but it felt a lifetime. Lying down there, obviously I couldn't see anything. My eyes were shut. I was inside that, but I could see my entire life pass through my eyes. I knew he was waiting right next to me. My daughter and my family were there, and everybody was waiting for me. And here I am taking on stress, and placing my family in this situation. And I knew that if there was something I could have done better, I should have done that. This wasn't a point. That day was not a stressful day when I landed in the ER. In fact, I had a lovely lunch. I had a great conversation with my friends. So it's not something that a scary moment will put you into ER, but it's all what's building up. So when I was realizing all of that, then I did realize that it was in the past that I had many falls, but I have already always risen through that. This time, why did I go down? And I knew that if I'm going to come out with a clean scan, I'm going to get to the root of it and understand what I can do to transform my life so that no matter what happens, I don't get onto that table again. And that fear is what led me through weeks and months that came next of recovery, to understand, to heal myself. And once I knew, okay, this is what I have done, this is the framework that I have built, I started speaking to people around me, my friends, my colleagues, and whoever came up and asked me small suggestions. Okay, what do you do for this situation? And my answers helped them. I understood this is a framework that it not only helped me, and I went back to the same situation, lived in that very same environment for the next 6 months, and nothing stressed me out. I didn't get back to the ER again, which means this was helping me. And that's how I understood. If I have felt it deep within, and that fear of lying on the table, not knowing whether I'm going to make it to the other end, back to how I was earlier, and I was given the next chance to do that. So obviously there was a purpose for it, for me experiencing that. And if God has given me the chance to go through the other side of pain, to come out clean, and to realize that, okay, I have done something, I allowed my body to experience that pain. I am there. I know there are many women juggling careers, babies, taking care of elderly parents, siblings, many things that a woman goes through, multitasking. It's not a badge of honor that you wear that, okay, I'm doing all of this. It's okay to say no. It's okay to set boundaries. And it's real to feel that pain, but don't cling on to that pain. And when I see somebody live and smile, and I know, okay, I'm helping them smile and live better, it gives me a reason to continue this.
I can understand that. I can understand that. And there is a great comfort in knowing that your family was there through what you were going through, because there are in some cases where there's people where they don't have any family to be there to comfort them. And and that's also part of the healing journey, is having somebody that can stand next to you while you go through those challenges. And it's even been documented that having loved ones around you can uh, speed up the healing process, both mentally, spiritually, and just having that support. There's some people that go through um, certain accidents, that go through emotional trauma and don't have the support from anybody to be able to go through, um, and to be able to go through, be able to talk to be able to rely on and lean on. So I'm pretty sure that what you had experienced and what you had went through was quite a journey, and to make it out through the other end, something that few have done in any situation, or some have went back to previous lifestyles. I've known people that have went through traumatic events only to turn around and go back to the previous lifestyle that they were in. And it's like, well, did you not learn anything from your previous situation that created the traumatic event? You know, I had an uncle that was on diabetes, and he didn't want to maintain his diet, and he reverted back to what he wanted to do, and eventually he got his leg amputated. You know, eventually he got his other leg amputated. You know, and then eventually he just ended up dying because he couldn't leave the lifestyle that he had alone in order to live a longer, more fulfilling life. So, um, and you know, and it was a sad event for everybody, but in his state, and in anybody's state, you know, you have those events or those diagnoses, and it's like, okay, well, what do you do from here? Now, thinking about it, what does emotional overload actually look like? Actually look and feel like, and how does it show up in your life?
It's sad that people experience loneliness and being alone are actually quite similar. You can be surrounded by people, family, friends, and still feel lonely, and you can also be alone. So I have had mentees who have been through both these sides, and that's what I tell them. If you are in immediate help of reaching out to someone, feel free to speak to me, drop me a message, whatever you want to share. I'm there to listen. However, building community is one of the essences of what I teach. At least have one friend, somebody who you can confide in, somebody who you know is going to be there listening to you, and at least not being judgmental of whatever you're going through. Cultivate one friendship at least, whether it's within your neighborhood or whether it's your workplace. It's somewhere on your commute path to commute, you're traveling together. Find that one person. And emotional overwhelm can show in many forms. It's not exactly an outburst. It is not a panic attack. It is not a heart attack. It is not an extreme that you think, okay, you are overwhelmed. It could be something that you're just getting ready in the morning and you're looking in the mirror and you're just combing your hair or, just brushing up, wearing your lipstick, whatever. But you are not looking into the mirror happy. You are not feeling that smile that you want to see in your face. And you are trying hard to control those tears from falling down and ruining what you have already gotten ready so far. Or it could be something that you are very exhausted at the end of the day and you know you're going to sleep the moment you shut your eyes. But rather than fall into sleep or, have that dream or whatever it is, you are rolling up your covers tight and your pillow's getting wet because you're crying yourself to sleep. You cannot get over with whatever you are experiencing. It necessarily not be from that very same day or very week or very month, but all the emotions start come flooding in, and it's like a tape that's playing in your head at 10x speed or 20x speed, and you experience all those emotions at once. It could also be that you are traveling and you are just gazing through the window, but then something strikes your eye and you start comparing yourself with somebody else's life. Or maybe you are scrolling through social media and you see all the wonderful posts out there. Everybody posts their lovely selves, their beautiful vacations, their beautiful homes and families. It doesn't mean that 24/7 they're living those beautiful lives. Even they have their low moments. So when you have that too much of screen time, you do not know, but your brain is automatically comparing yourself like, oh, I'm not even having a day that I'm smiling or I'm looking this good or I'm feeling so great. And that is emotional overwhelm. It need not be an outburst. It need not be a panic attack. It need not be something where you're just stuck at home on the couch and don't want to get up. It could be in all these subtle things where you are controlling and fighting back those tears. Or maybe you're just crying yourself to sleep at night.
That's understandable. I have long stated that social media is a lie. And people kind of put things out there to make it seem like, life is glorified, and they're this and they're that, and we realize that some of the places that they been, yes, it looks nice, but sometimes it doesn't always look like that. When they visit it, it looks really beautiful and nice. When you visit it, it doesn't look that beautiful and nice. And is also us comparing ourselves to other people's lives. I used to look at Facebook and compare my life to Facebook. Like, dang, look at what these people are doing. I feel like they're a lot further along in life than I am. They're doing this, they're doing that. But what they don't tell you is oh, that car that they posting is either not theirs or is rented. That location that they're at, or they're going on vacation, what they're not showing you is that they put all of that on a credit card, and they're barely surviving at home, or they skipped a whole bunch of bills at home just so they can make this trip to Miami, to Texas, to California, and everything. And when you really start kind of looking at their profile, you start like, well, they keep going to the same destinations every year. Why are they going to the same destinations every year? Why do they continuously go to Miami? Why do they continuously go to all these other to some of the same places? Because those places are affordable to go to, depending on what flight you're going on. You don't see them in California every year. You don't see them in Texas every year. You don't see them in different states. Maybe the state's not attractive, but you don't see them in different states every year. So what that tells you is that they can only afford to go certain places. Maybe they like this place more over another place, but we know the other place costs more money. We know flying from Michigan to Las Vegas costs a lot more money than going from Michigan down to Miami, because everybody flies to Miami, so it costs less in some cases to fly to Miami. So then when you also look at it, these people put their relationships out there, make it seem like their relationships is great, and that there's no arguing, there's no fighting, and no, nobody should put their relationship negativity out there, but they put the relationship positivity out there, which makes other people feel inferior, especially because they don't have, well, not, I won't say inferior, but it does make them feel lonely because they don't have those relationships that they have, and it makes it look like it's glorified because they're going to all these events, they're going to these places together, and they look happy. But pictures are worth 1,000 words, and it's a fleeting moment. It's not what people expect or think that it is. So I used to sit there and look at Facebook and have these comparisons, but I had to leave Facebook and go and find a platform that I can control myself and fill it up with more positive affirmations and positive feedback and everything, because Facebook is full of your friends and they're gonna post what they want to post. And as much as I would adore, deleting some of those people and just kind of call the whole list and start all over again. Because let's be honest, you don't talk to everybody on Facebook. You get 15, 2,000 friends on Facebook. You don't even talk to all of them. Like, that's a lot of conversation to have every day with 2,000 people. Even if you try to split up over a 7-day period, it just doesn't, it's not going to work. So, yes, social media can make you feel lonely. Social media can make you feel like you're not worth it or you're not worthy because of what you're seeing everybody else can do. And even in a crowded room, people can feel lonely. And and sometimes it comes from being able to relate to the people that they're around, or having a common ground with people that they're around, or having just being able to have a conversation and relate, because this is how we build bonds and this is how we build friendships, is by having conversations that's relatable. So when you're talking to somebody and you can't have a relatable conversation, it kind of gets a little awkward because now you're kind of pulling strings and straws trying to find the conversation. I've recently went through not something like that, but I recently kind of went through a situation of an awkward conversation, and I was talking to my neighbor, and my neighbors lived next to me for about a year and a half, and was trying to have a conversation, and it was awkward. Like it's like you would think that two men would be able to have a conversation about sports, about anything, and it always end up as like what I would say a stalemate of conversation, meaning the other person don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. You just kind of just stay there looking at each other like, well, all right, well, talk to you later. And it's fat, and it's hard to be able to relate and conversate with somebody that you can't find a common ground for. And that's kind of what happens when you're in a crowded room. You're looking for somebody to have conversation with. You're looking for somebody to be relatable to, but you can't, and you find yourself in that awkward space. So you do feel some type of loneliness, especially when you're by yourself. And I think the same thing goes for um, looking at social media, is because there is no way to have a conversation with this person without it feeling awkward because you don't know the person, and you're looking at their profile and you're like, man, I wonder, how was that vacation? Did it really look like that? Oh, these are beautiful pictures. Oh, this is a beautiful person. Or, I would like to get to know this person because I feel like they have some things that's relatable. We can have a conversation. But if you inbox something, it kind of seems kind of weird because like, okay, well, you're like, oh, you have such nice pictures. I think we'll get along. And you're looking like, what will make you think that from looking for my pictures? And it becomes a whole awkward conversation. The same as if you was in person, you see somebody say, "Hey, that's a nice outfit you're wearing. Oh, what kind of drink are you drinking?" And trying to spark up that conversation. It all just seems, kind of awkward in that sense with having a conversation. So, um, so let me ask you this. Your story is about navigating this connection with your teen daughter. It is very powerful. What did rebuilding that relationship teach you about yourself?
It taught me a lot as a mother. Having had her grow from an infant to a baby to a toddler to a teen, I was parenting her the same way. The way I felt was right. And obviously, motherhood doesn't come with a guidebook, a manual that says, okay, this is how you parent. And as a mom, you feel that you have control over their lives because you've given birth to them. And you to protect them until they are an adult, even if they are a teen, is your responsibility. So I think this becomes the basis of the assumption that you have all the rights to control how they live, how they experience, and how they process their emotions. I think this was the biggest roadblock, and I had to unlearn this assumption and undo whatever I was doing. I remember a time when she was in her tween years, navigating the phase from being a kid to a teen, and she went into a shell. There wasn't any argument, any fight, and I couldn't pinpoint what had created this wall between us. And it only became worse. No matter what I said or did, it became worse. No bribes could help. No matter what I told her, what I gave her, nothing helped. She just shut down. And it was weeks. She would speak to my husband. Everything was normal. She would live life with her friends in a normal way. The only person being shut out was me. I took it very personally. I didn't understand what I was doing wrong. I felt that I'm literally going to lose her. And that's when I understood, if nothing has changed between her friends and between her and her father, what is it that changed between me and her? I'm not being a stepmom to her. I'm not being rude to her, mean to her. I'm looking out for her, which means there has to be a way in me looking out is what she's not liking. That's when I had to understand. Now I need to let go. I cannot control her. I cannot expect her to behave in the way I want her to behave, and understand how she wants to process it. So I started being more of a listener than judging how she's processing her emotions, telling her that no matter what she's going through, she can come and share it with me, even if it is with me. Even if I've said something, did something, or not said or did something, she has all the rights to tell me that this is how I'm feeling because this is what you've said or not said, or what somebody has said, or how she's experiencing and processing her emotions. And when I started communicating that openly and telling her, here I'm listening to you openly, no judgment at all, And we started building our relationship back from there. And now we are, I think, more of friends rather than mom and a daughter. And I love this relationship. And going back and recalling those years, I feel that any parent, no matter at what age, will go through this, and understanding that it's okay to let go. It's okay to tell them that you're there to guide them, but not control them. And I'm sure I will have this phase once again as she's growing into, an adult, or maybe she becomes a mom one day, and I have to let go further. I have to build that peace within me, build that space so that I know she's growing and I'm growing as a parent as well.
That's understandable. I so in relation to that, you know, for my son, we haven't in his teen years we haven't lost trust or had to rebuild a connection. But I do recall in his toddler years when I first took custody of him that there was a lot of building put in the building blocks, and that because it was such a change in the environment to go from coming around and being with me only on the weekends to 7 days a week was a huge change for him. So in that essence, for him, he had to get used to the idea of seeing his mom on the weekends and then seeing me during the week. And then it was also those times where he didn't see his mom on the weekends and then he was just with me consistently, and being able to have to deal and have those conversations with him to say, this is why you may not be going over there this weekend, or hey, we're gonna go to the movies, or we're gonna go get ice cream, and and by him being so young and not understanding, is having those conversations. Maybe he doesn't understand, but just trying to reassure him that things are going to be okay, things are going to be all right, and I'm not taking you from your mind because of anything that you've done, but I'm just trying to put you in a better situation so you have a better survival rate in this situation, and just trying to help him just be better, um without because the situation they're in resulted in like could been catastrophic to say the least, and just trying to get him a better opportunity, especially opportunity that I didn't have. um so we did have to put those building blocks in place in the beginning, because there was some things done and said during them times that that was questionable and everything. But as we built, and I was being there for him, and after a few weeks, few months, he started to fall into the routine of me picking him up, dropping him off. It was still a few outbursts here and there because he wanted to be with his mom on the weekends and she didn't show up. So you had those instances where he had an outburst here and there, but then it just started to become something of to be expected. Oh well, she didn't come. Okay, well, we get to go here and do this. We get to go there and do that. We go do a few things. So we was able to work it out. But I do understand that there's a point in time where you know your kids get to their teen years, and then they want to go and be with their friends. They don't really want to be around their parents anymore, which I expected that to happen. It's kind of happening right now. Like there is not a disconnect, but no, my son prefers to hang with his friends. Hey, you want to go to the movies? I'm going to movies with my friends to watch this, and I'm like, we used to have movie days, so we don't have movie days no more. So I have to understand that, as my son is becoming more of an adult, more independent, and his friend list is starting to grow. He's gonna want the things that we used to do. He's gonna want to go and do with his friends, and I have to kind of figure out, either I had to book his time prior to his friends kind of taking his time, or I have to incorporate other things that we have in there together so we can go ahead and still have that bonding time that we had. Now we still bond over movies, anime, and a few other things, but you still want to be able to have that conversation and have those activities so you can further keep that open line of communication. And I think that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure I cultivate out of anything is open line of communication. Is you can come and talk to me about anything. Don't think for a second that you don't need to come and have the conversation with me. Like, we can talk and we can talk about anything, and it would benefit him more for having that guidance from me, as well as my elders, my mom, my dad, all of them, his uncles, to be able to have that open line of communication so he can be able to talk to somebody and that information can circumvent back to me. I may not address it, but I do want to be in the loop with some things that he has going on. So, so let me ask you this. So when we're talking, so in your work as an anxiety mentor and reliance coach, what patterns do you see most, and where do you start when helping them untangle emotional stress?
Patterns I see is what they talk to themselves. So when I ask them to describe what has been their thought in the last 24 hours, they need not share it with me, but maybe, a broad spectrum of what has been the major thought that has been occupying their mind. They can just list it down. I give them some time to do it. Maybe they want to take some time to spend over it and come back to me. That's also fine. And when you say, science says that a human being has around 60,000 thoughts per day going on in your mind. And that's a huge amount of thoughts, but not all of them are new thoughts. You see that it boils down to a couple of 100,000 thoughts, and it's the same thing that you are thinking again and again. So when they realize that, okay, it's the same thing, but in a prolonged version, in a diminished version, in a different version of it, and sometimes they don't want to share it with me. They're like, okay, it's this. I'm like, okay, tell me something else. Then they're like, it's this again. I'm like, okay, you watch what you have been thinking or what's on your mind for the next couple of days. Say, give it a week, and you tell me what is it that's on your mind. The next week they come back to me. Surprisingly, it's the same thing. So when you say that you are bogged down with what's going on in your mind, you have to understand that the bully is not outside. The bully is your inner voice. And that voice is what is making you feel small, feel diminished, feel inferior. And when you recognize that voice in your head telling you, otherwise, you have to shift that voice. You have to give it some other thought and let it go to something else. That's the only way you can break that pattern and not let that escalate further. So that's the very first step.
Okay. Now, let's talk about parenting, partnership, identity. Now, how do you hold space for all of it now, especially when it gets messy and overwhelming?
I think trying to figure out everything and solving everything at once is what makes it overwhelming. So if you see that at any given point of time, if I ask someone, anybody, no matter how stressful their career is or not, to list down what do they have to do in a day, they'll start right from preparing a meal for themselves, for their family, to ironing out your clothes and commuting, filling gas in your vehicle, doing your project, doing your presentation, getting your work done for those deadlines at office. Maybe, getting a gift for somebody if there's an occasion coming up, doing grocery shopping, and again coming back home, clearing up your laundry, doing whatever it is. But all these things are in a very broad spectrum. So there are things for you, things for your family, things that you need to do for office, things that you need to do for living, things that you need to do no matter what. But until and unless you prioritize them and bucket them into you have to do something, only you can do something, or maybe, you can have somebody else give you that support in that. There are times when we take pride naturally in doing some things and like, okay, I do it better, I can do it. Maybe somebody else can also help you. Letting go of that, understanding that you can seek help, understanding it's okay to seek help and say, okay, I need help, asking for help, taking that help, rather than trying to be that I can do it all person and then say, oh my God, I'm crumbling at the end of the day.
That makes sense. I understand that. Yeah, you you can't be the person that does it all that does it all on your own. You know, putting all that burden on your shoulders is one is not beneficial for your health, and you definitely you definitely need more. You definitely need a supporting system and be able to help you. So now let me ask you this: is that you say you're not speaking from a pedestal, but from the trenches. You know, what truths have emerged from the mess that continue to guide your life and work today?
The biggest truth I feel is the thoughts that are within my head. And when I know that I am enough for what I am right now, and I keep reaffirming that to myself. And when I look into the mirror, I tell myself that I love you, Aurene, no matter what. So when I'm brushing my teeth, I look at my eyes into the mirror and proclaim that love to myself. I am loving myself the way I woke up. No filters, no beautiful makeup put on, but I am loving myself just the way I am, with all my flaws, with all my expectations, with all my shortcomings. And I'm telling myself it's okay. I am setting the tone for the day. And I would urge all the listeners out there to do the same thing as well. When you know that you are comfortable in your own skin with all the good things and with all the shortcomings, that is when you can take up whatever is in front of you. However, if you are crumbling within that shell, taking on responsibilities beyond what you can, or maybe imagining that mountain to be a mountain when it is just an ant hill, you are still crumbling under its weight. Let go of that. And it's okay to not feel okay, and it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to take care of yourself. So, self care is definitely not selfish. Give yourself that love. And when you are comfortable in your own skin, is when you can do whatever you want to do. So, that's this first step in taking on your ownership, controlling your thoughts, and then you know, okay, this is what I need to do. Break it down step by step. You don't become a marathon runner in a single day. You start by walking, then you start by jogging, and you start by taking that tempo up. And once you get those steps in, those kilometers in, is when you can run a marathon after some time. So life is just like that. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. All your goals will not be accomplished in a single day. Take baby steps. Break it down into what you can do at the moment, what you can do today, and let go of those thoughts of what is there for tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough worries for its own.
I agree. I agree. Irene, thank you for coming on to the show. We definitely appreciate it. You dropped some gems today, and I know the audience is going to love it. Is there one last thing that you would like to tell the audience before we wrap it up?
Sure, one quick word. As humans, we are not here, we are not born to cope. We are born to live free, live true, and that's the only way we can rise higher.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. I love it. All right, farewell fans. We will catch y'all on the next go around. Irene, thank you for coming on to the show again. We really appreciate it. And we will see you on the next show, on the next interview. Peace.